Today I thought I'd talk about a little thing I learned in prison. The thing is, people say it all the time. They're just going through life and they never do anything wrong and they got nothing to worry about. And generally that's true, but not always. In a couple of incidences, I can tell you how that people with that attitude went seriously wrong. Here's one. I had a prisoner, a big fat guy, and he's a very annoying person. He's constantly questioning everything that I do and everything every other prison guard does. So one day he goes to the visiting room, and of course he never does anything wrong. He just has a normal visit. We go through the normal routine. You know, do you have anything on you? Is there anything that you need to report to me? No, no. Well, on the way out, I search prisoners at the camp at USP Marion, and this is As the Key Turns, and I'm David Lehman, and I did 23 years at the federal super maximum prison at USP Marion, and there's a camp there, which on the scale of 1 to 6, camp is 1, and the Supermax was 6. So this guy is leaving, and I do a routine normal search, and I come up with a tablet of some kind. And he said, "Oh, well, I had that on me when I came in." And I said, "Oh, well, then apparently you lied to me when you entered here when I asked you if you had anything on you, if you had any property at all." "Well, I just overlooked." "Oh, so you overlooked it." So let me think. This is what could have happened. You could be lying to me right now, which is what I suspect. So you're lying to me, and you received something of value from your visitor or someone in this room because you told me that you didn't have anything on you when you entered here. Or you were lying to me when you did enter here. In either case, you're lying to me. That's an offense. And you either received something from someone. That's an offense. Or you snuck contraband into the visiting room. That's an offense. So the guy who thinks he's just going along through life is now been accused of several serious offenses for campers. These things could get him transferred from a place that's peaceful and calm, and basically it's club fed, to a place inside that has fences around it. The guy was so shook up when he left because I told him, "I'm writing you up for it. There's just no doubt about it. I'm writing you up for lying to me. I'm writing you up for receiving property from someone else. Writing you up for sneaking property into the visiting room to give to someone else." So those three charges, I'm writing you up for it, any one of which could get you kicked out of the camp and sent you to a place with a fence around it. He goes over to the baseball diamond. He spends some time over there apparently fretting about it, has a serious heart attack, flops over, and the inmates, fortunately, know some CPR. The physician's assistant is called. They bring the defibrillator out and they get him restarted. And if it wasn't for that physician's assistant knowing how to use the defibrillator, and it was readily available, the man would have died. So that was how a guy went from just walking along singing a song to being into serious trouble. And it happens to us too. I know the fellow that, he doesn't do anything wrong. He's got nothing to worry about. Tells me that all the time. I got nothing to worry about. I never do anything wrong. I said, "Buddy, you are not the person that makes up the rules. You're not the one that determines what is wrong and what isn't wrong." And that's the whole point of this entire thing, is that when you go along thinking that you don't do anything wrong, you are not the person that decides what something is or isn't wrong. It's other people. Well, Mr. I never do anything wrong. The inmates, this is on the inside of the prison, the Supermax prison now, they want to ask questions, like things that you got to look up on the internet. So they ask him several questions, and they're all very innocuous things, like what's the capital of this or that country? What's the weather like in such and such town? One of the questions was, there was, you've heard about this hurricane that was in Texas, and my mommy lives in a certain town in Texas, and did they receive any damage from this hurricane? So he looks it up. Then the inmates come and they tell him, look, we need to watch some child porn, and we would like to do that in your office. And he says, absolutely not. And they said, oh yeah, you're going to show us child porn in your office. And he refuses. And they said, well, if you don't, you're going to be in serious trouble. Probably lose your job. Hey, the cats are fighting down here. Stop it. Well, he refuses. The inmates accuse him of watching child porn with them. And their evidence is, and then they got a list of all these things that can easily be checked out. Well, on a such and such date and time, he looked at what the weather was like in Texas, in a particular town in Texas, and then they list all the other questions that they had given him, and they just can't quite remember when the child porn was being watched, but they knew that he did it. Well, now he's under investigation for watching child porn with the inmates, so, he's got to go home. They have to send the FBI and the Bureau's investigators out to his house. Of course, he didn't do anything wrong. Nothing. He's innocent. So he has a big, long discussion with the folks about, that what he did and didn't watch. And now they're going to go through all of everything that he looked at on the computer with a fine-tooth comb. And one of the things he likes to do is he likes to look at comedic things that are funny. Well, the things that are funny to you and him, you and me, might not be funny to him, and vice versa. And he likes some rural jokes. And some of the rural jokes, maybe about 10% of them, so he looked at over 300 images, photographs of things that are, around the farm. And 10% of these things, about 30 photographs, have partially nude females. And out of the partially nude females, a couple of them, they're pretty young. Is that child porn? Oh my goodness. It's a very big possibility. Now we've got to investigate it, and we have to send it off to the, abused children's center and have the image documented as being child porn or not, and that kind of thing. And this is all on a government computer, by the way. Well, he's one of them guys that never do anything wrong, so he can go ahead and pull the tail of individuals in the administration. So he does things that are not actually wrong, but really annoy them. So like wearing his Santa hat or his little flashing Rudolph nose at Christmas time into the prison, and that just for some reason bugs the hell out of them. Or he says or does things that they find annoying, goofy. Kind of like the fat guy in me. It's not something you could pin down and say, well, it's an actual violation of the rules, but it just bugs me. Kind of a mosquito sort of thing. That little buzzing in your ear. He doesn't bite you, but he's annoying you. That kind of thing. And we, meaning the other staff, told him, stop doing this stuff, man. You're going to get yourself jammed up. No. Well, now they have an investigation going on him. And one of the things that they can do, and I did this as a police officer all the time, I am not the person that makes a determination whether or not something actually violates the law and whether or not it should be prosecuted. That's not up to me. I'm a reporter. I discover the facts and I turn them into the prosecuting attorney's office, and they make determinations on whether or not it's an actual violation of the law, whether or not it should be prosecuted if it is a violation of the law. Well, that's what happens with the FBI report and the the Bureau's report. It gets turned into the Assistant United States Attorney's Office. And, them and our warden, they work together quite closely many a time. And what you can do is say, look, sit on the case. Don't make a determination. You have 5 years to make a determination. Well, once that report's been turned in and referred for prosecution is what it's called, referred for prosecution, they don't have to pay you anymore. You're in limbo. So for the next 5 years, you don't get any pay. You don't get any benefits. You get nothing. You're out on your ear. You're not fired, so you don't get unemployment, anything like that, but you're not fired. So you're in limbo. And if you've got a child in the university, maybe this is really your only skill, what are you gonna do? Well, they have a ready answer for that. Come on in, buddy. Let's have a little chat. We wanna talk to you about your welfare. We feel really bad about you, and we want to help you. Help your ass right out the door. All you have to do is retire. I know you want to work for another 6-7 years, but if you were to retire, you could collect your retirement right now. And for the next 5 years, worry about every time you see the police car drive past your house, or someone knocks on the door, or you actually see a cop in the rearview mirror. They're going to pull me over and arrest me, and am I going to prison for something? Am I? Think about that. So, you retire, and you hope you get to keep your retirement, because if you're convicted of a felony, they take your retirement. And, of course, there's that prison thing. Well, in long story short, the fat guy never got charged with anything. It was squashed due to his physical problem. They just said, he suffered enough. And the guard, the one that's accused by the inmates of doing something that he didn't do, well, they never prosecuted anything. They never dropped the charges. They just left it in limbo for 5 years to make him sweat as long as they could. And that's what happens when you think you didn't do anything wrong. You're not the person that makes that determination. So when you think to yourself, I got nothing to worry about, I'm not doing anything wrong, you might want to think again, especially if you're in prison. And for God's sakes, don't pull the tail of those people who are in authority. Just stay under the radar.